More from day one of the 73rd NFL Draft. Jerry Jones didn't get Darren McFadden, but he took another Arkansas running back, Felix Jones, with pick number 22. Deshaun Jackson had the fastest wide receiver 40 time at the Combine, a potential deep threat for Donovan McNabb now, and the Philadelphia Eagles. The Ravens took Ray Rice in the middle of the second round. He's expected to back up Willis McGahee. And Louisville quarterback Brian Brom taken 56th by the Green Bay Packers. With more on the draft, here's our Chris Berman.
At the NFL Draft, that's Glenn Dorsey, defensive tackle extraordinaire. Not sure he's going to fit in that jersey, that particular jersey that Commissioner Roger Goodell is holding, but he'll fit beautifully in a Chiefs jersey. Even though the Kansas City Chiefs lost their last 9 games at the end of the 2007 season, they won their first 3 picks in the 2008 NFL Draft. Dorsey rated #1 overall by many teams on their board. Brandon Albert, a guard that can, or tackle that can play either right or left side, so versatile. Also a first-round pick. And Brandon Flowers, a defensive back, Virginia Tech, that many had in the first round. He went in the second round of the Kansas City Chiefs, who are starting their way back. So we're all in agreement, Steve Young, Keyshawn Johnson, Mort, and Mel, that the Chiefs did very well. Who else in your mind did well and who might not have done so?
I love the Pittsburgh Steelers, so fundamentally sound. They give $100+ million to Ben Roethlisberger, and then what do they do today? They get Lima Swede to replace Plexico Burress, the big wide receiver that Ben's been looking for. And then, oh, by the way, Rashard Mendenhall, one of the best backs coming out from Illinois, big bruiser inside to complement Willie Parker. What I didn't like was the Chicago Bears today, not needing a quarterback. Rex Grossman coming back. We need somebody. You got Brian Brom, you had Chad Henne, you passed on both of those guys. I thought that was a big mistake.
I love the Baltimore Ravens and everything that they've done this offseason, including getting a new head coach, bringing in a former head coach to run the offense, and then going out and drafting a quarterback. So I know Ray Lewis is smiling all the way to the bank because he's going to have a good year, go back in and get some more money. I know Ray well enough to know that. Then Ray Rice, the running back from Rutgers. Now you pair him with Willis McGahee. Now you get some offense, and that defense has carried this team too long, and then finally they get some help.
Well, I got to be honest with you. I like the AFC East bottom feeders. It's starting with the Miami Dolphins. I think they nailed it with Jake Long. I think he was absolutely the right first pick. And then they got a steal with Philip Merlin, the defensive end from Clemson. I thought he was going to go around 20 to 22 or what have you. And then, Chad Henne, hey, who knows? We'll wait and see. He could end up hitting it big. Maybe he hurts John Beck. But I also like the New York Jets. The New York Jets get Vernon Golston. It's bookend defensive outside guys there with the Calvin Pace that they picked up in the offseason. And then Dustin Keller, a weapon that I think can be like Dallas Clark of the Colts. And I'm like Steve, I'm not sure about the Carolina Panthers. I think they needed a quarterback, and they did not go get one today.
I'm going with the winner for today. I think the Washington Redskins. Vinny Serrato, we said, get back to the NFL draft. Do that because that's where your strength is, evaluating players coming out of college into the NFL. Forget about free agency. 9 picks overall entering the day. Traded out of the first round. Devin Thomas early in round 2. I thought should have been a late first-round pick. Big kid, which is what they needed, wide receiver. Augmented that with Malcolm Kelly late in round 2. And in between, a tight end, Fred Davis, who actually was USC's top pass-catching option for John David Booty this past year. They need a corner, defensive lineman, and offensive lineman to get that on day 2. Can't get everything done in the first 2 rounds of the draft. The loser is still Tennessee. You have Vince Young. You need help at wide receiver. Roydell Williams, a former 4th-round pick, he's your #1 guy. You have a chance to get Devin Thomas. You have Chris Johnson, who I like, but they went with Chris Henry last year in round 2. Lendale White 2 years before that. Then in round 2, Jason Jones, good prospect at defensive end, but where's the wide receiver help for Vince Young?
You mentioned the AFC East, and this is not a big, they're not Blair the Trumpets draft for the Buffalo Bills, but I thought they got exactly what they wanted, at least in the first round. Leotis McKelvin, who I think is the best-rated corner, they got that. And then what did the Bills do in the second? They need a big receiver, so they get a guy that just is 6'5", James Hardy, 36 touchdowns in the Big Ten. Double-digit touchdowns, as Mel pointed out, 3 years in a row for Indiana. So I like what the Bills did. Cleveland did nothing. Then again, they had nothing. They didn't have any picks, and I can't blame them because their 1 went for Brady Quinn a year ago. Their 2 and their 3 went for Corey Williams and Shawn Rodgers. I hope they had a good day on the golf course. We look forward to seeing the Cleveland Browns in the 4th round. We look forward to seeing you for day 2 of the NFL Draft beginning at 10 a.m. here in New York. Round 3 and beyond.
So taking a look at some of the big names still left on the big board, Texas running back Jamal Charles is the best available offensive player according to Scouts Inc. Mario Manningham wouldn't mind being the first day 2 pick and joining Jake Long and Chad Henne in Miami. LSU wide receiver Early Doucette and USC quarterback John David Booty also among the big names still on the board.
NFL Draft. Rounds 3 through 7 on Sunday. Some of the names you know and where they went. The Texans selected West Virginia running back Steve Slayton, 3rd round, number 89 overall. He saw his carries dwindle and said, I'll go to the league, and that's where he went. 5th round, number 137 overall. The Vikings picked USC quarterback John David Booty. This guy's a winner out of a monster program. Vikes had just 12 touchdown passes a year ago. 19 picks later, 5th round, Steelers select Oregon quarterback Dennis Dixon. Dixon, of course, coming back from knee surgery. Oregon season fell apart when he got hurt at Arizona. 6th round, the Redskins picked Hawaii quarterback Colt Brennan. Brennan, the NCAA all-time leader in touchdown passes. Is he a system guy? We'll find out. In Washington, in the 202nd pick overall, 6th round, the Indianapolis Colts select Mike Hart, one of 4 Big Ten players with 5,000 career rushing yards. Some other day 2 notables, Kevin Smith, who came up short in trying to take down Barry Sanders' all-time single-season rushing record this past year. He's from UCF. He goes to the Lions with the 64th pick. Safety Tom Zbikowski, the domer from Notre Dame. He's pursued a boxing career. He's a return guy as well, selected by the Ravens, 86 in the 3rd round. Andre Woodson, 3rd to last quarterback taken. He goes in the 6th round to the Super Bowl champion Giants. Trey Wingo with more on the draft, including the feel-good story of day 2.
Execute backstage pass.
Caleb Campbell went to Army to be a safety, not only on the field, but wherever he's needed in the armed services of this country. But because Caleb Campbell played safety on the football field so well, he may not have to travel overseas and be safety for a nation.
With the 218th pick, Detroit has selected Caleb Campbell, defensive back, Army.
Well, the 2008 draft is in the books. Welcome into Radio City. Trey Wingo here with Ron Jaworski, Chris Carter, Chris Mortensen, and Mel Kipa Jr. Listen, Caleb Campbell being selected by the Detroit Lions out of West Point may have been the feel-good story of the second day of the draft and maybe the entire draft. But what were the best picks made in the second day of the draft? Jaws, let's start with you. Where do you go?
Yeah, I believe it was Harry Douglas, the wide receiver from Louisville, drafted by the Atlanta Falcons. As I studied Brian Brown, the quarterback for Louisville, the player that kept flashing was Harry Douglas. He really doesn't have the top-end speed to run by people, but he has a terrific feel for the position. Excellent hands, really good burst, can accelerate when the ball is in the air, and if you're going to be a slot receiver, this is the guy you like. He can read coverage on the move, and he is tough. When you're inside, you got to take hits.
Very good pick by Harry Douglas. I'm going to go with Kevin Smith, drafted by Detroit in the 3rd round. The one thing that Rod Marinelli needs is high character guys and physical effort for this football team to get turned around. March is not there anymore. Kevin Jones is not there anymore. This running back right here brings a physical presence to the Detroit Lions, Mort.
When you talk about physical, my favorite pick on day 2 was Tom Zbikowski, Notre Dame to the Baltimore Ravens on the 3rd round. Rex Ryan's going to have a blast with him because he's so versatile, he's fast, he's explosive, he's tough, he's a boxer. I think Ray Lewis is going to like the guy too. John Harbaugh, their head coach, is a special teams guy. This guy does it all.
I'll tell you, a kid that has a chance to be a factor as a rookie, Lavelle Hawkins, wide receiver Cal, goes to the Tennessee Titans, late 4th round, the only wide receiver they drafted. So for help for Vince Young, he's going to have to provide it. Had a real good year going, so he tailed off late, dropped some passes against Stanford, still led the Golden Bears with 72 catches, overshining Deshaun Jackson, who went earlier in this draft, had a nice week at the Senior Bowl practices in Mobile. Opportunity for Lavelle Hawkins is definitely there with the Tennessee Titans.
Those were the picks that stood out to you guys as we sat through the second round of the draft. But guys, when you look at the entirety of the draft, 2 days from round 1 to round 7, teams that did the best.
Yeah, I actually like the Washington Redskins. You know, Jim Zorn has come in his first year as a head coach in the National Football League, an offensive-minded coach. And what does he do? He gets Jason Campbell some health, Devin Thomas, wide receiver, Fred Davis, tight end, Malcolm Kelly, wide receiver. Boy, I tell you, when you're a young quarterback, you have those kinds of weapons and versatility. It certainly helps develop as a young quarterback.
This is hard to believe. The Cincinnati Bengals, 2 receivers, Jerome Simpson from Coastal Carolina, a very underrated receiver, Andre Bubba Caldwell, who I believe will break the curse of the Florida receivers and be better in the pros than they were in college. But at the top of that, Keith Rivers, USC, a do-everything linebacker, is really going to help solidify a defense that's been very poor for a long time.
You know, I think the Dallas Cowboys had a really good draft. I mean, you know, they had to get a complimentary back from Marion Barber. I think Felix Jones has a chance to be a star in that complimentary role. They get Mike Jenkins from South Florida to address the cornerback position. Who knows if Pac-Man Jones is going to play. I even like Tashard Choice, another running back from Georgia Tech, and then Martellus Bennett, the tight end from Texas A&M. They help themselves.
I'll tell you, the Kansas City Chiefs, the rebuilding process is on with Carl Peterson and Herm Edwards. A lot of picks, they made them count. You get Glenn Dorsey, I think the best player in this draft at pick 5. You get Brandon Albert. You also get a guy that I really like in Brandon Flowers, a cornerback from Virginia Tech. On day 2, you get Jamal Charles, running back Texas. You get Brad Cottom, tight end, who has skills coming out of Tennessee. You get DeJuan Morgan, safety from NC State, good football player. And you get a sleeper corner, Brandon Carr out of Grand Valley State. Boy, they came away with a heck of a draft, Kansas City did.
Kansas City said they wanted to get about 6 starters. We'll find out in about 2 years if that happened. It started with Jake Long the Tuesday before the draft. It ends with David Vobora, Mr. Irrelevant. Back to you.